Welcome, everyone. I'd like to convene our reinstitution of the Safety Committee. We've had a Safety and Security Committee. And right now, I think we have some public speakers, so Mr. Ed Frank, private citizen, sir, if you could come up and speak.
Right here, sir.
Hi.
2 minutes, please, sir. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Ed Frank. I'm a resident of Chappaqua. I'm here to speak against the provision of a 10.5-foot Metro North lease to Conifer Real Estate, who wants to construct a 4.5-foot high residential wood frame building that is as close, it's actually 17.5 feet from the third rail, and that would make the lease as close as 7 feet to the third rail. And of course, the railroad cars protrude further than that. Mr. Giulietti, congratulations on your appointment and for putting safety as an important item here. The project has been criticized by fire experts, by the town of Newcastle building inspector, by the fire chief of the town of Newcastle, to put a wood frame building of this size so close to the railroad tracks, in my opinion, flies in the face of Mr. Giulietti's safety comes first. It also needs variances from the New York State Department of Transportation because it's right up against the off-ramp of the Sawmill River Parkway. It needs a 5.5-foot lease from Department of Transportation. So for those of you who are able to have, and I'll give Mr. Giulietti a copy, this is what it looks like. It's built from lot line to lot line, and there's no space there for anything but the building. There's an architect's rendition of the building, and I also have copied the developer's site plan to show how close it is to the off-ramp and to the Metro North Railroad. And if in fact Metro North ever wanted to utilize this space for communications, for power stations or whatever, they're locking themselves into a 99-year lease with a no-build provision. So I'm here to say that this 10.5-foot lease should be denied to Conifer Real Estate to build a wood frame residential building at 54 Hunts Place in Chappaqua. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frank. Next speaker is Mr. Rob Fleischer.
Hi, my name is Robert Fleischer. I'm a resident of Newcastle, New York. I wanted to voice my support for the formation of the Safety Committee, and I wish you all well in your undertaking. In the spirit of safety comes first, I wanted to draw your attention to the proposed development at 54 Hunts Place in the town of Newcastle, New York, which is sponsored by Conifer Realty, which is based out of Rochester, New York. This project would be the closest residential development to the Metro North Railroad that I'm aware of. Given the width of the train, this project will be approximately as close to trains as 10 feet away from the large number of trains that pass by each day. This project is driven by Conifer's desire for outsized financial gain and is the most expensive project by unit cost that is currently being considered by the county. It can only be enabled, and this is really important to understand, it can only be enabled by the MTA's choice to enable both the project through the lease and by the resulting transfer of outsized taxpayer funds to Conifer's pockets. I urge you, sincerely urge you, to remember the goal of safety comes first, and resist the political pressures that I know will be coming down on all of you to approve this ill-conceived project. Thank you very much, and please look into this. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fleischer. I believe that concludes our public speakers. Before getting on to the regular agenda items, I'd like to say a few words regarding safety-related matters in this community, this committee. A few months ago, I announced the creation of a Chief Safety Officer position at headquarters, reporting directly to me. Creation of this new position is a critical piece of our re-examination of our safety practices and procedures at all of the MTA agencies, and it's essential that this position be filled. As I've said repeatedly, safety is the MTA's top priority, and having a Chief Safety Officer at headquarters will help to ensure that all the agencies are sharing best practices and doing all they can to promote a consistent safety culture within their organizations and make sure that that's promoted throughout all levels of their organizations. We are actively interviewing candidates, and we hope to have this new person on board by the summer. The agency heads are involved in this. This has to be a person who not only has, as are the safety professionals, leaders at each one of the agencies. We need to make sure this candidate has the requisite experience and skill set to be able to do it, but be able to work with the agency heads and report directly to me. So it's not a position I take lightly. Second, as you may recall, I convened a blue ribbon panel of railroad experts and safety professionals from the governmental side to advise both on technical issues and issues related to safety culture at each one of the agencies, Metro North, Long Island Railroad, and New York City Transit. Their work has been ongoing, and they have been sharing their results with not only the safety people, but the agency heads and myself, and it's been a very good exchange. We expect to have a final report from them sometime in June, and I will be sure to share that information with you. And now on to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is the monthly safety reports from New York City Transit, MTA Bus, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North, and Bridges and Tunnels. These are the very same reports that were included in the agency's committee books and are presented at the committee meetings in the morning. Each of these agency presidents, chief safety officers, are here to answer any questions. At the beginning of this committee, and as we formulate what it is going to handle and how it's going to conduct its business, I believe it's important that we start grounded in what the agencies report at the operating committee level. However, that does not mean we have to stay in that position. I believe there needs to be linkage as the committee chair between what the operating committees do and what we do here. But as the board members who are part of this committee, I want to have a dialogue, an ongoing dialogue with you with respect to how we can shape the agenda for future meetings to be able to go to the level of detail you may want to go to get answers to questions and assure yourself that we're doing all we need to do for safety. Do you have any questions regarding that process going forward, gentlemen, ladies? Okay. Monthly safety reports? Is that what we're doing first, or are we doing the, okay. New York City Transit.
You want us to go over what we did in the committee?
Yes, briefly. Put your,
All January and February safety performance indicators were negatively affected by the exceptionally harsh winter weather conditions throughout New York City area. Subway customer accidents and injuries, bus collisions and collision injuries, subway fires, as well as employee injuries on duty were all up on a one-month basis. As expected in severe winter weather, employee and customer slips, trips, and falls increased dramatically. Insulator fires were caused by winter conditions were up significantly and contributed to the overall fire increase. With winter weather passing, we expect to see improvement in the 12-month numbers going forward. Any questions?
I mean, one of the things for those of you that don't know, electric railroads provide certain hazards. There are present certain hazards at electric railroads that other railroads don't necessarily have. And so with inclement weather and with the snow and then it melts, you get conductive paths that don't normally exist if you don't have third rails. And so some of the issues that Cheryl mentioned are conducive to all three agencies that have third rail operations, which they do. Second, we'll start with you, Lori.
Good afternoon. I'm Lori Ebbeckhausen, Chief Safety Officer for the Long Island Railroad. And similar to New York City Transit, we also experienced weather-related challenges in January and February that resulted in an increase in our employee injuries. We had a 70% increase in February. It's important to note in 2013 we had roughly a total of 37 employee injuries, and that increased to 63 in 2014. The majority of the injuries were due to icing conditions, and slip, trips, and falls were up, as well as injuries due to frozen windows. Of note, in January and February of 2012, we only had one employee injury attributable to weather. In January of in 2013, that went up to 3. This year, we had roughly 20 employee injuries that were attributable to the weather conditions, so that was a significant impact for us. Our customer injuries increased slightly, 9% from 2013 to 2014. And while slip, trips, and falls continue to be the biggest driver of customer injuries, it's important to note that there was one less incident in 2014 versus 2013. And by far the biggest increase in our customer injuries is in the category of customers that require medical attention. So that's where we're seeing an increase. In 2013, there were 8 of those injuries. In 2014, there was 17. And finally, our TRACS program, our partnership with the MTA Police, continues to grow. We had one of the best January, February months that we've had in quite some time. We reached 8,536 more participants for a total of 25,710 participants in this community education program.
Could you briefly, I'm not sure all the board members know, brief summary of what the TRACS program is.
Okay, so the TRACS program is a partnership between the Long Island Railroad Safety and Training Department and the MTA Police Department. And we actually send folks out into schools, to driver's ed programs, to community centers, to educate the communities about the right-of-way and crossing gates. So that's our way of reaching out to folks that may either be using our system or encounter our system to ensure that they're aware of how to navigate through the system and make sure that they're safe. And we start young. We go elementary, middle school. We plant the seeds early about ensuring safety through our system.
Any questions for Lori?
Frozen windows, I listened to it twice today.
Yes.
And I have no idea what you mean.
Microphone.
Sorry.
So if you can imagine, and I don't know how many of you may have experienced trying to go out in your driveways this winter and trying to open your car doors or roll down your windows, similar situation on the trains. Because of the nature of the temperatures.
This is the window for so that the conductor can actually lean out and see what's happening?
Correct. Correct.
And they strain themselves trying to move windows that won't move?
Correct.
I am going to jump in, though. I just want to indicate that we have had a fleet-wide issue with the M7 window, and we are in the process of changing some of the sash around the window because it is prone to getting stuck. And that is a task analysis that Lori's already conducted with maintenance of equipment. What can we do to make the window open easier? So we are on that.
I mean, ideally, what you want to do is years ago, we didn't have heated step plates, but we have heated step plates now, so you don't get accumulation of ice that interferes with the door opening and closing. You could heat it, or the other thing you do is you make sure it drains well, so you don't have any accumulation of moisture that then freezes. Ian?
I'm
Metro
sorry,
North?
while I'm asking miscellaneous questions, this thing of more health problems with passengers, I'm sorry, was that that was in
Right. And
the
I think
railroad? Is this something that goes up and down by nature, so goodness knows, and we'll see what the trend is, or is this an extraordinary
it's
change?
not, I would say it's not so much the number of incidents that have changed, but it's the reporting requirements that have changed over time. The FRA now requires us to report medical conditions. I believe that went into effect June of 2010, where they changed the standards in the Code of Federal Regulations 225, and the reporting requirements have changed.
Okay, so it's not that more people totter onto the train and fall over. It's actually just, it's this. Okay.
Ian?
Thank you. Good afternoon. As you've heard, weather conditions have certainly played a significant role in all of our numbers this year, and you'll see our employee injuries, our total injuries are 48 through February as compared to 35 in 2013. We also had a very terrific January of 2013. We had only 5 total employee injuries. If you'll note, 2011 and 2014 had tremendous spikes, I think, for all of our employee injuries for this time period. And that's directly, we believe, directly related to the weather conditions. 2011 was a very significant weather year as well. We had a very serious winter that year, as in 2014. So we're seeing the same trends at this point in those numbers. Our customer injuries are actually consistent with this time last year. We've put a tremendous amount of effort into communicating with our customers. We've actually started a customer tweet of the week, a safety tweet of the week. So we send out every Friday a tweet to all of our customers about some safety-related tip that we want them to be aware of. So that's in addition to a lot of our customer campaigns that we already do in our mileposts or our posters, our notices that go out regularly to our customers and on the webpage. So hopefully that's actually demonstrating some improvement in that area, and we'll see how that goes and track that as we move forward. The types of injuries are consistent with both transit and Long Island Railroad, mostly slip, trip, and fall at this point for January and February, again, as it relates to the weather conditions. We do have the same problems Long Island has. We've done some targeted studies with the windows and doors, opening the windows and doors, and we track that very closely as a result over the year. So we're hoping and seeing some minimization, but we also target then an aggressive information campaign for our employees in that area for opening, closing windows and doors. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Next item on the agenda, I'd like Lori and Ann to give an overview of the actions both railroads are taking. If you recall, after the tragic action at Spuyten Duyvil on December 1st, the FRA issued Emergency Order 29, which required a number of actions for all railroads to take. And then they're going to summarize. But Mr. Brown, you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, the weather was bad. You know, I worked in that weather. Weather's dangerous. But I feel statistics, quite often the central point of the statistics is not the value of the statistic. What were your other issues besides the weather issues during this period? Did you have zero other issues other than the weather? I mean, the weather's bad, we're going to have more accidents than we otherwise have. But, what were the outlying issues other than the weather issues?
For Metro North, some of the things that we observed outside of purely weather-related injuries with our employees were hand tools, working with hand tools, appropriate use of personal protective equipment in that regard, the appropriate gloves to use or not to use during a specific task. And we're looking and actually working with Long Island Railroad to develop job hazard analyses. So that are like among both railroads. We'll share that information to ensure that we can get as many done as possible so we can target some of the concerns that we might have in specific areas.
Did you have a comment, Cheryl, or no?
For New York City Transit, it was really purely weather because we had a significant increase in our slip, trip, and fall hazards and overexertion injuries. So it was specifically related to the weather.
The obvious is we've had 2 fatalities at Metro North in the past year. And one of the items the last agenda item is going to be roadway worker protection, and all 3 rail agencies are going to talk about that. But bridges and tunnels, do you have anything to add in terms of safety?
Just want to talk a little bit about what we represent in our reports, the charts and graphs highlighting the customer collisions and injury collisions and employee accident reports. And the one thing that does jump up, we also had an increase through February of employee accident reports filed, and that largely due to slip, trips, and falls. And we're looking very closely at that, and we're doing a couple of things that are new this year as far as we're continuing with safety stand-downs. We had just, besides the introductory one, we have a safety stand-down at every facility every 60 days to bring a different message home, to be sure it stays on top of everyone's agenda. And we're also doing a safety task force that we formed We're doing inspections, including union representation on those inspections.
I mean, one of the challenges that bridges and tunnels had, I had to get my head around this issue because I've been in rail most of my entire life. And while the hazards are relatively apparent in terms of third rails and trains moving at high speed, you do have control of the right-of-way. You do have control and access to the employees who work on the right-of-way. Whereas in the bridges and tunnels environment at a toll plaza, you're out in a location where you're seeing thousands of cars a day driven by people you have limited control of in vehicles that can do an awful lot of harm. So the hazard exposures at bridges and tunnels are entirely different than the hazard exposures. In some cases they're the same, but other cases are totally different, so the challenges are more difficult. Lori and Ann, please give the summary on the emergency order 29.
Thank you. So both agencies have embarked on a number of initiatives to enhance safety as a result of the incidents of last year. We're going to go point by point to give you an update on each of those areas. The first area, building on the success of our corporate safety stand down back in December of last year, we held our first quarterly safety stand down at Long Island Railroad on March 27th, and we've committed to doing obviously one per quarter. In addition to the over 4,500 employees that participated in actual safety stand down with their work groups, we also offered a safety, health, and wellness event at 2 locations, one on the east end and one on the west end, and that was open to employees throughout the day. We had over 800 employees participate in the safety, health, and wellness event, and at that event we went over things like proper personal equipment and how to access the protection that you needed, as well as a lot of health and wellness type of information. As you're aware, the railroad environment is a very physically demanding environment to work in, so we're really encouraging our employees to take advantage of the resources that are available to them to ensure that they're as fit as they can be to do the tasks that they're challenged with each day.
Thank you. And similarly, we have held our second stand down for this year. Our first, unfortunately, was held March 11th as a result of the tragic fatality of our third rail employee. The second we just held April 10th, and both of these were system-wide safety stand-downs discussing very specific topics. We discussed our roadway worker protection and our enhanced employee protection system and the rules associated with each of those, and had very good dialogue with all of our employees with regard to those areas, identifying concerns that we had with their implementation of those rules and programs, as well as their questions that were raised to us for follow-up. And so we're tracking that, and we'll be responding back to those employees. We've had about the same numbers go through those stand-downs on each of those days. We're still tallying the second one right now, but we're at about 4,000, so we expect that number to be closer to 5,000 by the time we get all the attendance sheets tallied. We also do health and safety days. We are broken up into 6 districts, 6 operating districts, and each of those districts will hold throughout the year health and wellness day. Bringing in vendors that we've got under contract to bring in new PPE, describe some new tools and equipment that might be available to them, and then they actually engage us and ask if there are some opportunities to get new tools and equipment. And we've found that very successful. We get some great dialogue with our employees in that regard.
And both agencies are targeting their next safety stand-downs to take place in June of this year. The second item that we're focusing on is the implementation of the confidential close call reporting system. At Long Island, we had our initial overviews and meetings in February. Our next phase of the implementation process is going to take place the week of May 12th. That's when FRA, our labor partners, NASA, and Volpe will be back to continue the progression through the process.
We are still working at implementing our confidential close call system as well. We're working with one of our labor organizations to finalize the memorandum of understanding with them and the FRA. Then we will move on to each of the other labor organizations as well, while we petition for waivers necessary to implement the program finally. So we're looking forward to that opportunity. I think it'll be a nice shift in culture and the great development of a good, strong working relationship with all of the labor organizations.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you have trouble with, I mean, you have snow and cold as the problem in winter. Do you have trouble with heat in the summer with people's health?
Yes, we do. And we
Is that
target.
the kind of thing that you're going to hit in June?
Yes, we ahead of that, ahead of the weather changes, we will target information packages for the employees, making sure we put out safety alerts, bulletins for them with information about sunscreen that we have as a standard stock item, taking frequent breaks, liquids, things of that nature. So we do address that as the seasons change. We'll do that for the cold as well.
Yeah, so again, as Ann said, we do the awareness and try to get people prepared before the weather sets in. We also ensure that the stock items that they need in order to work safely in the field are also up to the stock level that they should be. So as Ann said, whether it's sunscreen wipes or poison ivy wipes or even water to stay hydrated, we check those levels to ensure from a seasonal perspective that they're available. Okay, the next item on the enhanced safety action list is our alerters, and our vendor verification and validation of the software for each of our fleets is on schedule and in progress right now.
Yes, and we have the same schedule. We're on the same schedule. We'll begin installation in July of this year. And work through
Expected
the
completion date for both railroads?
end of 2014.
That, if you recall, we had some older equipment that on the non-locomotive end didn't have alerters, and they're putting alerters on, and that's an outgrowth. Next item?
Okay. So in the area of speed compliance for the month of March, which encompasses March 1st through March 31st, we had 131 radar observations completed on 91 Long Island Railroad engineers as well as 3 NIAR, New York and Atlantic engineers. We also performed 14 event recorder downloads, and all instances showed compliance.
Through March, we've had 316 radar checks, all in compliance. We've had 248 event recorder downloads through that same period, and we had 5 exceptions noted during that period. That is improving, and we haven't had any exceptions since the March 31st, so that's looking promising. We've had 682 check rides performed where crews go out and observe the train crews in the performance of their duties.
So the next area, as far as our critical curves and tangent track, all of our critical curves were completed as expected and on schedule March 1st.
That's with overspeed protection.
Correct. At this point, on the identified tangent track segments, and we have 8 of those that we're working on, 3 of them have been completed, and the design is 100% complete on one of the other 8 identified segments, and the remaining 4 are in progress.
And our critical curves were completed on February 8th, and all of our bridges were completed March 21st. That's about 5 months ahead of the anticipated schedule of September.
Okay. And finally, the change order for PTC, I believe, was presented earlier today, so we're on track with that.
Yep. And that's a joint effort.
Okay, the third item on the agenda are presentations regarding roadway worker protection programs
Forgive
in
me,
place.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Forgive me.
Sure.
Could we go back to critical curves a second, and perhaps you could explain to the committee what exactly those speed restrictions do with respect to its impact on, for example, on-time performance?
Sure. So there always is an impact on on-time performance when we start to implement safety enhancements in an operating railroad such as ours. The enhancement that we've implemented enforces maximum authorized speed through those critical curves. So that then causes a deceleration, which will happen with PTC as well, ahead of the anticipated speed restriction. So whether it's a permanent or temporary speed restriction as PTC will be able to manage, those will slow the train down ahead of that to ensure that the speed is managed through that curve or anywhere else it's designed to manage.
And PTC, I presume, forget that. With PTC, it takes all human judgment out of it. It's automatic.
Still operate the train manually, but in the event you're not following the prescribed speeds, it will take over for you. I mean, the analogy I would draw, because this is a human analogy everybody has, okay? You're going to Aunt Millie's for the picnic, and either you're late leaving the house or your spouse is late leaving in the house, and so what plan 45 minutes, you're now down to 30 minutes. So if there's segments of the road that you may want to make up time on, you try to make up time on. With a signal system, that's eliminated. You don't have the ability to do that. In essence, speed. You can't speed. Not that anybody would knowingly speed going to Aunt Millie's. Leave late, go slow.
Next one is presentation on roadway worker safety.
3 different presentations, I'm sorry.
Okay, first it'll be New York City Transit. New York City Transit has a roadway worker protection program in place to ensure our employees are safe when working along the right-of-way through rules, training, program review, and oversight. Most right-of-way work is done under traffic, and employees must clear up for moving trains. This slide shows the policy component of our program. Comprehensive flagging rules which protect our workers are in place. The type of flagging required is based upon the type of work being performed and the civil configuration of the track. Anyone who enters the right-of-way must complete track safety training and carry a qualification card. Initial training is an 8-hour course with classroom and field components of the training, and refresher training is required every 2 years. Track safety training includes electrical, third rail safety, slip, trip, and fall hazards, flagging techniques, emergency telephones, near-miss reporting, and signals and switches. Flaggers must complete a 9-day initial training course, which includes all components of track safety and carry a qualification card. Refresher training is required every year. We also have a safety rule dispute resolution process in place. Anyone who's asked to perform work that may violate a safety rule has the right to stop work and complete a safety rule dispute resolution form and have the task reviewed. The issue must then be resolved by a supervisor or manager. Next slide. The program review component consists of track safety task forces that monitor and make changes to the program as operations and equipment evolve. A joint labor management track safety task force was established in 2007. This task force is chaired by System Safety and consists of 3 subway managers, 3 TWU members, and 2 System Safety members. The task force initially conducted a comprehensive study of track safety and made numerous recommendations which led to improvements in training, communication, flagging rules, and job planning. The task force meets regularly and addresses the bulk of track safety issues. They evaluate near-miss incidents, common findings from the Joint Labor Management Track Safety Inspection Team, and new issues that arise when operations and equipment change. An executive-level track safety task force was convened in 2007 and is chaired by a representative from the New York State Department of Transportation. Members also include representative from the New York State Department of Labor, the New York City Transit President, and the TWU President. This task force meets quarterly and reviews track safety issues that are elevated from the Joint Labor Management Committee, and also issues that might be raised by those members. The next slide. Oversight of our program involves the investigation of right-of-way near-miss incidents, such as improper flagging or portable trip overruns. Quarterly reports are prepared to identify and address trends. Additionally, a joint TWU System Safety Audit Team conducts nightly inspections of work along the right-of-way. The team averages over 350 inspections per year. Pre-job safety inspections are conducted by management and the TWU before major track construction or maintenance projects to identify and address hazards before the work begins. Additionally, supervisors conduct safety inspections to identify and address hazards at the beginning of each shift. They also hold safety meetings to communicate critical information such as site safety, flagging, and hazard awareness. The safety rule dispute resolution forms that I described earlier are reviewed quarterly by subways divisions to identify problem areas and ensure that supervision and management are adequately addressing those issues. The next slide. In December 2013, the Federal Transit Administration required the state safety oversight agencies to complete a track safety assessment checklist for each of their transit properties. The checklist looked at track safety training, rules, flagging procedures, program oversight, pre-job inspections, and meetings. New York City Transit completed the checklist in the conjunction with the New York State Public Transportation Safety Board, and the PTSB forwarded that on to the FTA. The FTA also required that transit properties conduct a hazard analysis on personnel entering and engaging in work along the right-of-way. The comprehensive hazard assessment was completed along with a comprehensive report, and it was submitted to the PTSB for their review, and then they will submit it to the FTA. And that concludes my portion of it. Now, Lori Ebenhausen and Ann Kirsch will discuss Metro North and Long Island Railroad.
Okay, so for both properties, we're regulated by the Federal Railroad Administration, who defines roadway worker protection as a state of freedom from the danger of being struck by a moving train or other railroad equipment. Unlike transit, we do have very stringent regulations that are in place. As of December of 1996, the Federal Railroad Administration passed the regulation to go into effect in 97 that established in the Railroad Workplace Safety Subpart C, which specifically focuses on roadway worker protection. Each property had on-track safety programs in place prior to the promulgation of the regulation. What this did was formalize it and codify it and put us subject to the FRA's oversight. So the regulation requires that each railroad, based on their rules, their operating environment, their physical characteristics, that each railroad devise a program to ensure that their roadway workers are getting the level of safety that they require. So for the program requirements, each property is required to have a formal program manual in place. We need to define who the roadway worker in charge is and what their qualifications are. We also have to have a formalized job briefing process as well as a good faith challenge process. We also are required to have audible train warning to ensure that workers and our trained locomotive engineers are communicating. And we also are required to provide a level of training and field observation to ensure compliance with the rules. For the training component, the training details the responsibilities of each of the stakeholders, so our roadway workers are our roadway workers in charge, and it also covers multiple gangs working within working limits. We also are required to go over the job briefing process, our emergency procedures, how we actually establish working limits. We talk about train approach warning, the safety precautions that are required when crossing tracks, and also for working around self-propelled equipment, because you have to remember it's not just trains that are traversing the right-of-way, it's also on-track equipment, which we cover in the movement of track cars. We also talk about radio rules, our good faith challenge process, and the operation of switches. So each property is going to detail what their program looks like, starting with Metro North.
So at Metro North, we provide annual roadway worker safety training to all of our maintenance of waycrafts, which would include our track and structures, communication and signals, and our power department. That training includes, obviously, the roadway worker safety, book of rules, Class C electrical training. That Class C electrical training is specific to third rail exposure. Conductor flags also receive annual training through their other regulatory, as new hires or as part of their other regulatory training. The Class C electrical training, just to give you a little review of what that entails, it's an overview of the third rail system, the types of electrical hazards that employees would be exposed to, minimum approach distances, including extended reach, which is very important, as people don't realize that the 10 feet that they're allowed to come in the vicinity of the third rail to also includes any tools that they may have. So it's 10 feet with the tools that they may have. So if they have a long wrench or a long lining bar or something, that's added to that distance. Annual roadway worker training now includes our enhanced safety Enhanced Employee Protection System, our EAP system, that you've heard about previously, but we'll give you a little bit of an overview as to what that is. The Enhanced Track Safety Protocol now requires affirmative actions by our roadway worker in charge, who's the employee on scene and responsible for ensuring the safety of the crew before tracks are restored to service. So the roadway worker in charge will request a track be taken out of service. The rail traffic controller then places a block on the track, on the affected track, to keep trains from approaching. An electronic message is then sent to the employee in the field. They have a pager now, and we're also looking at alternative means to enhance the coverage of that pager system. But they have the pager, and the limits of their block, along with the secret code that's randomly generated by the computer system, is sent to the employee in the field, the roadway worker in charge. That employee must then confirm that he's received that information before he can proceed with that work. And the blocking devices can only then be removed when the RTC enters the release code. So that process in reverse, the employee calls back to the RTC, provides that release code to the rail traffic controller. They enter that in the system, and then they're allowed to remove the block from the computer system. Otherwise, the computer system locks them out. And if the wrong code is put into the system, it won't allow them access either. The EAPS training, in order to request any track time at all, a roadway worker in charge must be current on the following items: roadway worker safety training, the annual training, book of rules, and the initial EAPS training, which will now be incorporated into roadway worker training going forward. The EAPS system includes a list of employees who have received the training. So if you're not qualified or current in your qualifications, the computer system won't identify you as a qualified person who can take track out, and will not authorize you to be granted access to the track. The EAPS system, the EAPS training includes an overview of how the system actually works, so that the employees understand the interactions and the limitations of the system itself. Yep. And this, just a reminder, this is an enhancement of safety. It doesn't replace the existing rules or the authority that the employees must follow. This is just an enhancement, layer of protection on top of those rules. And now Long Island will review their details of their roadway worker training.
So we have a very robust training program that covers a number of different employee groups that is based on the tasks that they're performing. We train, in addition to all of our operating personnel, we also train administrative personnel. Anyone basically that's going to be out and about the right-of-way or in yards is required to attend this annual training program. It's also important to note that our contractors all have to attend an annual contractor safety program as well. And an important component of that contractor safety program is our roadway worker protection module. The employees that are serving as roadway workers in charge receive additional training on the relevant characteristics, so that they're capable of ensuring that their staff is safe in the field. The training goes over all of the roadway worker safety requirements as governed by the FRA, as well as our internal program requirements and procedures. We go over all of the rules, and as Ann indicated, the hazard that an employee is going to encounter out in the right-of-way is not just the moving equipment. We also have the electrical hazards, including third rail and catenary. So that's an important part of this training program. We provide an overview of the third rail system and all the energized and non-energized parts. We talk about the type of electrical hazards that they're going to encounter as they work along the right-of-way or in the yards. We talk about, as Ann indicated, the minimum approach distance, which is important to keep in mind with the extended reach of tools, as well as the required insulating tools and blankets that must be used when they're working out in territory that has the potential for electrical hazard. We talk about rescue procedures, and because of our Harold territory, we also talk about procedures for working under catenary. So since Long Island Railroad doesn't have centralized train control, we utilize traditional railroading methods to ensure an additional layer of protection in the field for our employees. So in order to prevent a train from entering the work zone, our employees have a couple of options. They can block and spike switches, they can put out tie bumpers, or they can actually station flagmen at either end of the working limits to prevent a train from entering the work zone. And we'd be happy, I guess, to take any questions.
Couple items I'd just like to summarize, and then we'll take some questions. Although the New York City Transit is not subject to the same level of regulatory oversight that the two railroads are with the Federal Railroad Administration, the Federal Transit Administration is definitely moving in that direction. For those of us that Carmen and I are two that have worked in both environments, early in my career, I thought the regulatory oversight was probably onerous and unnecessary and actually counterproductive. But having now worked in both sides, I'm not so sure that it does not provide. I think it does provide some additional benefits. But I do believe the day is coming where the FTA will have a bigger regulatory footprint than what it has right now. Underlying all this, though, is the commitment of the culture of the organization. I specifically asked the agency heads to sit back there and let the professionals be up here so you can have access to them. But by all means, ask whatever questions you have, either about these agenda items today or what you may want to take a look at in the future.
These statistics we get on injuries or what have you, are they just employees of the MTA and its related agencies, or where are the contractors' employees? Do they come into that statistical picture?
We do report on contractor injuries as well as part of our safety report.
Yes, those numbers are also in the book, and they're related to the reporting requirements of the FRA as well.
And with New York City Transit, we're just reporting for our employees, not the contractors.
I mean, that's an example of one that, from a cultural standpoint, we should be consistent across. So, I'm going to ask New York City Transit to look at that, because if we're looking at contractors for the two railroads, we should do it for New York City Transit as well. Mr. Brown?
Yeah, and which labor organization did you engage? I mean, this was the previous discussion, but I didn't want to interrupt. You guys are going along just fine.
Yes.
Which labor organization do you engage?
We've briefed all of them at this point, and we've started the MOU with the ACRE organization, and then we'll be working through each of the organizations as soon as we complete that. We started with the ACRE organization because that's the model that was available nationally. We've agreed and committed to pursuing confidential close call reporting with all of our labor organizations, and as they wish to do so, we will engage and develop an MOU with them and implement that program system-wide.
Well, for the record, they wish to do so. But when you got to the what is to be done section of your report, it was almost entirely on roadway worker safety. And I suggest that engaging those people who happen to be the majority of your employees here. And I go to lots of wakes on the East Coast. I go to all the wakes. I see Tom there. I see some of you other guys there. But, and some of you too, But, occasionally you get a conductor or engineer killed, but usually it's track worker. I represent a bunch of track workers, including the moving bridges guys who are, slowing your trains down so much from Connecticut. But, the thing is to engage, everybody's got to work together here. So to the extent we work together, the other organizations feel they're being fed something that the operating crafts on the railroads. I know that doesn't apply to the TA. As a TA, everybody's in the same organization. Though you have managers that are affected by this too. It's not just represented workers. But that everybody's got to work together here, and to the extent they do, I suggest you engage everybody, particularly the roadway people.
We have absolutely every intention of doing so. We just chose ACRE only because that was the model that was available with the other C3RS programs, but we intend to move forward system-wide, and that will be every employee.
I mean, one of the things we probably ought to elaborate on for those that aren't innately familiar with it, first of all, both railroads are approaching it differently because Long Island Railroad, they are going to end up in the same place. The idea is to have full coverage across the entire scope of the system, whether it be in yards or on main line, across all classes and crafts of employees. But the way the program is set up by the FRA, you are required to reach negotiated agreements with each one of the labor groups with respect to what is in, what is out of the program, what is a waiver, what is not a waiver. Because one of the concepts of confidential close call reporting, and it models the aviation industry, which has been in business for about 20 years, is if someone is to report on themselves, aka self-incriminate, you want to be able to provide a waiver for their being disciplined. And so the trade-off is that you're getting additional information about something that may be a hazard that you're not aware of, and you're willing to waive the right to discipline that employee. So each one of those agreements need to occur. But the ultimate goal, Norman, is to get to a point where it's all classes and crafts, and it's the entire system for the hazards that are associated. And I think, you know, even if there isn't a lot, and I don't know to what extent it's done in a Class 1, in a shop environment, for example, in the mechanical department, we should be moving in that direction as well.
Yes, we absolutely intend to. And there's very little out there. I believe the UP is just starting to engage the shop environments. Other than that, it's only been yards.
Norman?
On the other hand, in regulatory, I mean, I'm always a big on the other hand guy. But to the extent that in bargaining, it's not bargaining per se, but bargaining is not really that much different than the regulatory environment. What's good as goose is for the goose is good for the gander here, and to the extent you engage one organization first, and then other people subsequently, then the decisions become driven by that earlier decision. I'm not saying they necessarily shouldn't be. It's not a sweet thing to be operating a train when you run over a suicide, even on the tracks. I don't hold it. I mean, it's a brutal thing. It's a dangerous thing to run these trains. And though you got a lot of accidents with buses too, and we didn't even touch the buses piece today. But on the other hand, to the extent you want every employee to buy into your safety culture, you really want they and their organizations to buy in on an early level on all your safety decisions.
Couldn't agree more. That concludes the meeting in terms of the agenda items. If there's not any further items to discuss or questions from the board members, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.